Welcome back, Colts fans. It is another week of the NFL. I'm Justin here with my co-host Jacob again. Jacob, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day outside, a great day for football in all regards, and I'm excited to see this Colts team in week 3. After the rough start in week 1, had a great bounce back game. Let's see if they can keep up that kind of pressure and that kind of energy going into week 3.
For sure. Today we are playing the Jets. It is a 4:05 game, so we've got the late game today. However, we wanted to bring you this at the same normal time as usual. So we figured all of you guys are probably going to be watching football at 1 o'clock. So none of you guys are going to probably tune in here. So thank you for joining us already this morning. Jacob, we've got a lot to talk about in the NFL and just a lot of good stuff to cover over the next hour. So again, thanks guys. We've got some special guests today again. We've got Kyle from the Jets Brawl this afternoon. And then, of course, we have Jay Stevens at the end of the episode to break down the rest of the game, do some bold predictions and some game picks. So, Jacob, I want to start. Let's go ahead and just things to note in this game.
Sure.
I want to note that Philip Rivers leads the league in yards after catch. That's a big feat. I mean, you're not throwing it down the field. I mean, we all know Philip Rivers likes to use his utility players, under routes to the tight ends, uses those backs out of the backfield. But that's pretty good, even though he's not getting 300, 400 yards a game like a lot of other quarterbacks in the league. But he's leading the league in a statistical category here. The Colts rank 11th in yards in the NFL, 18th in points, but 24th in total touchdowns. So we're getting a lot of field goals, and we saw that last week against the Vikings. A lot of points left off the board, left on the field. If we could have turned those 3 points into 7 points each time, oh man, that Vikings game would have been KO. We would have saw Jacoby Brissett in the end of that game. I feel like
probably,
or Jacob Eason.
I was going to say, I couldn't remember if he was active or not, but if he's active,
he was not.
Okay, well, that would have been a perfect game if we could have actually capitalized and scored touchdowns at that rate.
Yeah.
He could have played the whole fourth quarter and been fine.
For sure. So the Colts have only allowed 208 yards per game and only 47 plays per game. Those are both league lows. So that's very important to note, especially that's number one defense right there. I mean, in reality, Rivers targeted 7 different pass catchers at least 7 times in the first 2 weeks of the season. That's pretty cool, especially since our wide receivers keep going down. So I guess he's going to target probably even more now.
I think that's a byproduct of that is that, you found your hot hands that you like to go to. Paris Campbell goes down, even in training camps. If you want to go back that far, him and Trey Burton were really clicking, and then he goes down. So he's had to find a multitude of players that he can throw to and get a rhythm with.
Yeah, for sure. And then the last thing to note here, there is a new maximum of 7,500 fans in Lucas Oil Stadium today. So slightly louder. Last week we had 2,500. So another 5,000 added today, especially since it's noted in Indianapolis yesterday started phase 5 of the COVID reopening, which allows more things to be out. Bars and restaurants can open. There's a lot of bullets here on what's happening with that. But before we get too far here, Jacob, what are you wearing today?
So I am wearing a brand new Colts Forged t-shirt that I ordered, came in last week. Super excited. It's like this meshy fabric, so very breathable, very active. I like to switch it up. Wearing jerseys every Sunday is okay, but every once in a while I like to throw in a t-shirt.
Yeah, for sure. So I brought it to Twitter again this week. You guys voted for the TY long sleeve shirt today. So there he is, TY. Hopefully you come out today and play. And please listen to your grandma. Start doing things again, please. We need you, buddy. William, I see you watching from YouTube. Thanks for commenting there. For sure. Go Colts. Actually, he might not even be on anymore. Who knows? So.
Well, I also have something to note as well. I saw a stat recently that the Colts are actually one of the few teams that have not had a third and out on offense as well. So we keep the ball rolling, and we can continue drives. Now, where we falter, obviously, is the field, in the red zone, where we have to kick field goals instead of scoring touchdowns. Obviously, we love that Hot Rod's nailing those, but we want to see those turn into touchdowns. But it's a great sign that we, hard like third and outs just don't exist for us. We find a way to get going and stuff like that. So I'm really, really excited for what this offense can do in week 3.
Yeah. Okay. So Jacob, let's talk about a little bit about fantasy football here. Again, everybody, if you have fantasy questions, please drop your questions in the comments. We'll definitely reach out and see what's and note those and maybe give you some advice. I mean, Jacob and I's teams are doing decently okay.
Yeah.
I've got 2-2-0 teams, a 1-1, and then unfortunately an 0-2 that's just filled with injuries. So actually both my teams that have losses are filled with injuries, including George Kittle, Saquon Barkley, Deebo Samuel, Cortland Sutton, Julio Jones. It's a nightmare.
Oh,
I
man.
don't know what I'm doing. But my dynasty teams are doing fine, so that's fine if you have dynasty questions. So yeah, be sure to drop your questions about fantasy football in the comments. But first, let's start. Jonathan Taylor or Frank Gore. Frank Gore is coming back to Lucas Oil Stadium for the first time since he was a Colt. I don't know who, or wait, did he come here as a Buffalo Bill? I don't think he did.
No, I think he bounced at Buffalo after he was done with the Colts, and then went to the Jets. He
went to the Bill. He went Colts, Bills, Jets. But I was wondering if he came here or we went there.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I don't know. Anyways, he's back to Lucas Oil Stadium again today. So, who would you take in this matchup if you have Jonathan Taylor and Frank Gore on your bench?
I hate to say it's stupid simple, but I think it is. I think you take Jonathan Taylor for the simple fact of, look what he did in week 2 against the Vikings, and now you're entering week 3 against the Jets defense that let the 49ers trio of running backs tear him up. Raheem Mostert ripped that, 80-yard something run in the very beginning of the game, and then he gets injured. Jared McKinnon comes in. They were able to run the ball. Tevin Coleman, they were able to run the ball with a multitude of backs and have success no matter who they put in. So I think Jonathan Taylor is slated to have a big game again. Frank Gore, he gets you what you need. I just don't. The 49ers held him to, 60-some yards, and that was even, after they lost Nick Bosa and Solomon Thomas. So I think that, Frank's an older guy, and I think that's kind of starting to show. And the Jets running back group is a little iffy right now. They have Frank Gore, they have Michael Pirine, and that's about it. So if I had these two guys on my bench, I'm definitely going Taylor.
Yeah, I would definitely choose Taylor. This is going to be a starting running back for the rest of the season, in my opinion. Obviously not when we have a bye week, but okay.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I think it is matchup dependent. Because if you, I don't know, because we struggled against the Jacksonville Jaguars for some odd reason, but I could see us if we go up against a strong defensive unit. I just think the way Jonathan Taylor runs, he invites the contact and he tries to push through people. That works if you get into the secondary. I don't know how well that works if you get stopped at the line against 350-pound defensive linemen. So
I guess I would hope that the offensive line would be controlling that pace and opening some holes, but his cut, the way he makes cuts, is insane.
I would at least for this
hope we don't put too much wear and tear on him in this rookie season.
At least for this season, I would say it's matchup dependent. Once we can finish the season, I am pretty sure he's a lock at RB.
Yeah, I think he could be a top 10 running back in the league easily.
Sure.
Especially with an aging quarterback in the system that we have that wants to run the damn ball. This will be okay. I'll give you that. We can go week to week for right now, but I think by week 8, he's a lock in there.
Okay.
At starting, and maybe I'm wrong. Well, I'm probably going to be wrong. I don't know. I'm 1-3 in my non-dynasty leagues. Okay, so let's move. Let's go to our wide receivers here. Let's focus on the Colts wide receivers.
Yeah.
T.Y. Hilton, Zach Paschall, Michael Pittman Jr. I've seen Zach Paschall on a lot of waiver wires this week.
Yeah.
A lot of people picking him up, especially with the injury to Paris Campbell, probably to replace Paris Campbell. Of those three wide receivers, who would you focus on starting? Because I don't like starting two wide receivers from the same team on my fantasy team. I know you do that in Dynasty with Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb.
I have no problem with that if you're the Dallas Cowboys. If you're the Indianapolis Colts, I don't see why you would need to start two wide receivers.
Yeah. So of those three, who would you start in this matchup against the Jets? I mean, we know T.Y. Hilton has been having his weird old man injuries, or not injuries, but I don't know, misfortunes, I guess.
Yeah.
And Michael Pittman Jr. is, I feel like he's almost there.
I think that's
there for fantasy.
That's an accurate judgment there. And, he's still he's been having a couple on and off injuries too that he's trying to deal with. The interesting pickup for me is Zach Paschall, because I don't know if I've seen the Colts. Now, I mean, he's a great receiver, but I don't know if I've seen the Colts use him enough to garner kind of picking up right now. This year. He did have that one, touchdown pass in week 2, but I would like to think they would use him more with Paris Campbell out. I don't know if that's the guy that's going to match that explosiveness and the ways that they wanted to use Campbell. So, oh man, I don't know. If I had to start any of them, I'd probably say T.Y. because I think he's motivated this game. And I'd really like to see him have a bounce back game. So I'd probably go with T.Y. But honestly, for me, it'd be Hilton or Michael Pittman Jr. right there, because I think he's just so big. And I like what we've been able to do with him so far. So maybe it might take a couple weeks for him to get up there, but I think eventually he'll be, a fantasy relevant kind of flex player.
I hope T.Y. does something today. I've got him starting one of my 4 lineups. I hope he does something today. But yeah, I think maybe his talk with grandma is going to.
Hey man, families is huge motivators. If your grandma calls you out and says that she doesn't even recognize you, I mean, come on, man, you got to clean that up.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's just go wide receivers in general in this game. Let's talk T.Y. Hilton versus any Jets receiver, Chris Hogan. I mean, Perryman's out. They don't have Robbie Anderson, who tore us up last year. Mm-hmm. Who do you start? Do you start a Jets wide receiver or against this stingy Colts defense, or do you start I mean, I feel like this is a no-brainer.
I feel like it should be a no-brainer. I think you take T.Y. over any of these guys, but I'm hopefully optimistic that T.Y. Hilton does better than a Jets receiver. I'm interested to see how this ragtag group works for the Jets, because I mean, Sam Darnold wasn't bad last week by any regards, but he had Brashad Perriman. So I don't know. I think I would still start T.Y. over any Jets receiver, but I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Hogan has like a relatively good game.
Yeah. And then let's talk about the Jets tight end versus the Colts tight end here.
Yeah.
Herndon versus Mo Alley-Cox. I wanted to include Jack Doyle in here, but he's questionable for the game, and we really probably won't know about his status for another 3.5 to 4 hours. So Mo Alley-Cox had a huge game last week. We all know this. Went over 100 yards, led the league, or led the team in receiving, had a touchdown. 5 receptions versus Herndon, right? Who do you go here?
See, again, this is another tough one for me because I don't want to be like, as much as I love Mo Alley-Cox as a player and as a person, I have this like sneaking suspicion this is a flash in the pan. And I hate to say that because that's the tight end we got right now. So I hope he can repeat in week 2 or week 3 what he did in week 2. I think I'm going to wait a week before I venture starting him just to make sure that we can expect the same production, because it could be a feeding the hot hand scenario. Paris Campbell, I mean, go back to week 1. We saw how the Marlon Mack injury impacted our team, like completely altered the course. Week 2, Paris Campbell goes down early. Yes, we still had a great game, but that impacted the passing game. So maybe it was just like, who am I finding the hot hand right now? And that just so happened to be Mo Alley-Cox. It could have been a great matchup for him. So I think I'm a week out on starting him, but also in no regard am I starting a Jets tight end. Like, I'm not doing that either. So if I had to pick the two, I think I'd go with Mo Alley Cox, but I would also, look at the waiver wire because like Jordan Reed had a good game. George Kittle's still out. Ian Thomas with the Washington football team is doing well. So there might be some guys I would look at before I ventured starting these two.
There you go. You won a fan here, Jacob.
Yes,
he does like your answer. He does say that we hope Patman gets involved. I agree. I hope the rookie does get his break today. I would not even pick him up in fantasy yet, but I agree. Okay, one last question here for you. Colt, I don't even know if this is really a question. Colts defense or the Jets defense? Who are you starting?
Well, you got to start the Colts defense. Absolutely.
I mean, 208 yards per game, 47 snaps.
And in a way, starting the Colts defense, you're also starting the Jets defense because of how many players that the Jets have that were former Colts on their defense. So in a way, you can't lose, honestly, if you're Colts fans.
Well, I mean, all those ex-Colts players on the Jets defense are hurt and injured for today's.
There's a reason. There's a reason they're ex-Colts. So
we'll talk to Kyle about that here in a moment.
Yeah.
So we want to bring on another member of the Brawl Network from Jets Brawl, Kyle. He, again, part of the Jets Brawl here, one of their podcasters. So, Kyle, how are you doing today?
Hey, boys. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I've been listening to some of your picks, and I can't say I disagree.
That's fair. I mean, we all know we've kind of seen the injury report this week. Right. The Colts really only have two, with Matthew Adams, who was moved to IR earlier this week. Mm-hmm. And then Rocky Sin is still dealing with that non-football injury or illness. I'm sorry. He is out this week. But and then we talked about Jack Doyle being questionable. And then everybody else, Julian Blackmon, DeForest Buckner, Andre Costanzo, T.Y., Houston, they all didn't participate yesterday for rest, but they're all good today. However, the Jets, we've seen this injury report.
Oh, yeah.
Braxton Berrios, right?
Yep.
Wide receiver, he's questionable today. Brashad Perryman is out today. Jamison Crowder is out today, which leaves the wide receiver core to Chris Hogan, Josh Malone, and Lawrence Cager.
Cager.
Okay. Yeah. And then we talked a little bit about the Jets secondary with Nate Harrison and Quincy Wilson.
Right.
Quincy is out today. Unfortunately, we will not get to see Quincy Wilson versus T.Y. Hilton, which we all wanted to see. At least Colts fans wanted to see. Nate Harrison is questionable today. Ashton Davis is out today. And then let's go to your offensive line with George Fant out with a concussion, and then Connor McGovern is questionable with a hamstring.
Yeah.
Kyle, who are you guys playing today? Sam Darnold and
man.
And Le'Veon's on IR now too, isn't he?
Yep. Yeah, it's not looking great for the Jets and Adam Gase, especially today. Not that Adam Gase's team has ever looked great. I mean, he's never really been a good coach. And the Jets under him specifically have never had a good offense. Worse in the league last year. Worst offensive line in the league last year. Just every metric you can think of, Adam Gase is the worst at. And injuries don't help. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses for Adam Gase, but I can't imagine me personally trying to game plan for this game, because when I sat down, I did the Jets Brawl. I do a preview each week, and I thought, how can the Jets attack the Colts? And the one thing that sticks out to me is your guys' secondary. Rocky Sin's out, who I was a big fan coming out of Temple. Hooker goes out. He's out for the year now with the Achilles. Seems like that guy's always hurt. If you were ever going to attack this secondary, which I think, with the addition of Buckner in the offseason, obviously Darius Leonard and the linebacking core, I know some of your other linebackers haven't got off to a great start by analytics metrics, but if I was going to attack the Colts, I would do it by attacking your secondary. And the Jets literally do not have enough receivers to even throw 4 verticals right now. And I know this is supposed to be about addressing the Jets and Colts game, but I have to say this. Joe Douglas, the Jets DM, has done a piss poor job of just roster management in total.
That's fair.
If you have 4 quarterbacks going into today's game, you need to be fired. It's very simple. There is no reason in the world that you could sign me right now. I can go run a route right now. What is the 4th quarterback going to do for you? Is Sam going to re-engage in a mono battle? Joe Flacco's not playing in this game. Who are the other? I don't even know who the other 3 quarterbacks are. I'm assuming it's James Morgan, James White, and David Fales. Why is David Fales active? Like, why would he be playing in this game? There's no reason for that. That's just poor roster management by the Jets and by Adam Gase. I mean, it's typical of this franchise, but it's even worse considering the game. You're about to go 0-3, and this is not a pretty start. And you got Thursday night football in about 4 days, right? You're getting out of this game. You don't get rest. So you would think you would want like somebody you were going to sign or somebody on your practice squad to get reps. It's a shortened practice week. No, you're throwing in an extra quarterback? That just doesn't make sense to me. And we only have 4 corners today. Yeah. Only 4 of them.
Yeah.
That's even rotational. Like, one dude gets gassed, like 3 receivers on the field. What are you supposed to do? Like, that just doesn't make sense. It really does seem like the Jets are trying to lose, but I can honestly tell you they're not. They just suck that bad.
That's fair. I mean, hey, this is. I mean, I'm not saying this is what we want to hear, but no, that's all good. And Kyle, I know you've been kind of like leading the charge at firing Adam Gase all over Twitter, social media.
Since the day he was hired. I mean,
I don't disagree with you because how do you go in and bring in the best running back in the league and then not use him at all?
Yeah, I don't understand it. I mean,
whether you want to pay him or not, like play him. He's just holding cap money from you guys. Yeah. No, and we kind of talked about this a little bit where the Jets defense is a lot of ex-Colts players. I mean, Henry Anderson, Pierre Desir, Quincy Wilson's not playing, Nate Harrison's is questionable.
You can have him back. I'm not gonna.
Which one, Pierre?
Desir's injured, so I'm gonna keep giving him a second chance. But Henry Anderson, you can have him back. He's just a dirty player. I don't know if that was a thing with you guys or not.
It was not. He was a very clean player on the Colts.
Oh no, he's had a couple instances. Last week there was a hit on. It was either Mullins or Garoppolo. I can't remember who the quarterback was at the time, but it was very Greg Williams-esque, and I'm not dumb. I understand what Greg Williams will do when he's desperate. So
yeah.
It was. I saw that. That was rough. Like,
that's very unfortunate. Man, that's a. He wasn't great. I mean, he wasn't like great on the Colts, but I don't know.
Honestly, if I was Greg Williams at this point, like he doesn't deserve a starting job. I honestly thought he deserved to get cut this offseason due to his cap. He had a designation where if you cut him before June 1st. The club would have saved, I think his cap hit is $10 million this year. And it's, just from a defensive line standpoint, the Jets have an abundance of talent. And we'll talk about this more in the pure matchup. But the Jets have a good defensive line. And so far throughout the 2 weeks, I really don't understand what the rotation is. Like, it seems like we're just throwing guys out there in random scenarios. Like, Henry Anderson just should not be out there in run situations, in my opinion. Like, he's not good enough. He can still kind of get at the passer, but even then, I want some of the younger guys in there who I'm a little more excited about and who I think deserve more reps. So Henry Anderson didn't have a spot on this roster, in my opinion. Didn't deserve it. All he is a veteran with a high cap spot, and honestly, we're losing with or without him. So I might as well get the young guys in.
That's true. Okay, so let's talk. Trying to think of what to go. Okay, so I want to throw a trivia question out there for our fans real quick. Philip Rivers currently has 399 passing touchdowns in his career. The question here is how many quarterbacks have thrown for more than 400 and who has the most? We don't need to answer this question right now. I have the answers right here, but I just want to throw that out for fans to comment below what you think the answer is.
Did the answer the most of all time? Did he play for my team at some point?
The most of all time.
Because I think that's
no.
Okay, then I'm off. Then he's up there though. Yeah. He's got to be up there.
Now I got to think. No, definitely did not play. Oh, yeah. Okay, he is up there. Yes.
Okay. Not a long time.
But he's not. He's not the most of all time, but he is up there.
Okay.
We already have one answer in. Peyton Manning. He does not have the most touchdowns of all time. Sorry, buddy.
No.
Sorry, Kevin.
Of all time, but
I mean, Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's talk about some X factors in this game, Kyle. Each week we pick our one player for the game that we think is going to be the key piece to either the defense or the offense. Last week I picked, I think, Jonathan Taylor, and surprise, he had a fantastic game. He filled both my bold predictions, so that's great as well. This week I'm going to go Xavier Rhodes. Now I say this because Rakuten is out again, and Xavier Rhodes has to show up. This is the game. He has to show up now. You're going against Sam Darnold with 0 wide receivers and Frank Gore at running back. If you don't show up and you let Chris Hogan catch all over you, Xavier, what are you doing at this point? Like, you have to show up today. This is your game. Become Rhodes closed again. Become the great corner that you were on Mike Zimmer's defense, and prove that you want to stay here after 1 year, $3 million. So this is his game to show up for. That is my X factor today. Jacob, who do you got?
Yeah, so I went Xavier Rhodes last week, and I wasn't disappointed because I thought he had a pretty good game against the Vikings. But my X factor this week is T.Y. Hilton. And I mentioned earlier, like, this guy has got to get back on track today. This is the game where he does that. You know, he's getting called out by his grandma. Hopefully that motivates him. Like, if that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what's going to. Like, his grandma called him out and literally, like, called him up and said, the kid I've been seeing on TV the past 2 weeks is not my grandson. Like, you need to figure this out. And he's like, all right, grandma, like, I got you. Like I'm going to figure this out. So I'm hoping he has a big game.
Yeah, that was a kind of a big story out in
big around here.
In Colts land. Yeah. Okay, Kyle, who do you got for your X factor?
Oh God, this is kind of hard considering the circumstances.
You can pick a Colt. You could pick a Colts player.
I would say it's going to be a Colts player.
Rodrigo Blankenship.
I'm going to go Jonathan Taylor, and here's why. I think you guys have one of the highest run percentages in the NFL. I think you're at like 45% running the ball, and obviously it aids Phillip Rivers. I think at this point in his career, I personally don't believe that Phillip Rivers is going to be the catalyst of a lot of teams. I think you guys are the perfect situation for him. I think at this point for him, it's like, get that lead going into the fourth quarter. I'm not expecting him to win the game himself anymore because we've seen it with the Chargers. We saw it in week 1 against the Jaguars. He just always finds himself in that situation. And for me, that kind of brings him down in essence. He's not like that Phillip Rivers that we saw in 2010, 2011 when he was a world beater and maybe an MVP. Honestly, don't remember. But Jonathan Taylor, if he can keep going like he did last week. Last week was a good start. We saw in week 1, I think he had like 6 receptions. He got involved in the pass game. Last week, you guys handed the ball a lot. I mean, you should run the damn ball. Quinn Nelson says it pretty well. You guys have a strength there. Use it to your advantage. And Phillip Rivers is good enough to stretch the field and win you guys enough games to be a real playoff contender. Now, the Jets' defensive line is currently sitting at 3rd in the NFL, according to DVOA. And last year, they were 1st or 2nd, depending on whatever website you use. Them and Tampa Bay were pretty neck and neck. And this isn't a coincidence. The Jets have invested a lot of talent and a lot of picks into the defensive line. I personally don't agree with doing that. And you can see based off the roster we're projecting today that taking defensive linemen doesn't help you win games. But Quinnen Williams, Nathan Shepard, Foley Fatukasi, Henry Anderson, guys like that, Steve McClendon, they're all good run defenders. Quinnen Williams had a great week last week. Absolutely demolished a Hall of Famer in Trent Williams. So I'm excited for his matchup against Quentin Nelson. I mean, Quentin Nelson and Sam Darnold are always going to be connected. There's going to be headlines after this game about who won the trade. At this point, I would say it's pretty even because I'm not blaming the Jets on Sam Darnold. The Jets are the Jets. Sam Darnold's going to be successful somewhere in the NFL. It's just not going to be for this franchise. I'm pretty sure it's going to be for the Saints or the Steelers. So just get ready for that whenever that happens in the NFL. All that being said, if Jonathan Taylor can get going against this Jets defense, you guys are going to win this handedly. And I think you're going to win this handedly regardless. But running the ball for you guys is going to be the easy way. Kind of give Phillip Rivers an off week. Get Jonathan Taylor into the gist of the NFL. This is a good get it right game. I said this for the Eagles in my weekly pick'em. You know, this is a game where like it's going to be competitive, but this is a get right week for a lot of teams. You know, a lot of these matchups. The Colts need to get all these problems that they found in week 1 against the Jaguars, who have a horrible defense, by the way. You guys aren't unbeatable. We saw the Jaguars defense. They weren't very good, right? And you guys somehow lost to them. It's Minshew mania. I get that. But I'm taking Sam Darnold over Mitch Trubisky. I don't know about you guys. I know that was probably painful in week 1, but
it was very painful.
Yeah.
The Colts are not.
Yeah.
Colts are not Supermen. They are a beatable team.
They are.
But the Jets they're going to be the typical Lex Luthor here. They're not. They're going to get defeated. It's probably going to be pretty badly. They're going to look like Mr. Clean at the end of the day.
The Jets always seem to have the Colts number too. It's kind of like the Jaguars in Jacksonville. The Jets have the Colts number. I mean, last year the Colts were supposed to dominate too, and we got our butts handed to us by Sam Darnold and Robbie Anderson. Yes, Robbie Anderson's not there this year. Yeah. But I mean, even going back to Peyton Manning days, 14-0, Jets beat them, got into the playoffs, and went to the AFC Championship. I mean, the Jets just always have the Colts number, I feel like. So that's
it's one of those
we can't take this game lightly.
It's you guys have to take this game seriously. And honestly, if you lose this game, I love Frank Reich, but if you lose this game, you guys need to seriously consider looking for a new head coach. There's no excuse here. Just a talent discrepancy from the rosters alone. Even if you brought a college coach to the NFL right now and told him, like today, you are coaching the Indianapolis Colts, he would have zero excuse to lose this game. So I can't imagine Frank Reich coming in with a week to prepare against no talent in the wide receiving core, a depleted secondary, cornerback-wise. Even the Jet safety, Ashton Davis. I have no idea what happened to Ashton Davis. He just popped up on the injury report yesterday. He's our third safety. The other dude is a special teams guy, Matthias Farley. Like, you guys can throw. Now, Marcus May struggled last week, and when I was previewing the game, Mo Alley Cox is another dude who needs to get going in this game. He's a bigger dude. Marcus May is good in coverage, but as we saw last week, Jordan Reed was able to use his body to get over good coverage. Now, I want to say this. Jordan Reed, before he retired, was maybe the best tight end in the league outside of Rob Gronkowski. I mean, this dude was like, he was up there. Him, Travis Kelce, other guys who are now around today hadn't emerged, but they were still young. He was a top-end tight end, and maybe the 49ers are sitting on that right now. Maybe him and George Kittle could become like a really good 12 personnel package towards the end of the year when they get healthy or healthier. But Mo Alley Cox needs to go out there and he needs to have a day because this is easy pickings. He is bigger than Marcus May. I love Marcus May in coverage, but he just is not the Jamal Adams type. He does not have the physique. He does not have the physicality. There is a big difference there. And I so far have disagreed with Greg Williams on how he's been using the safeties. He's been using Marcus May in the Jamal Adams role. And it's been decently effective statistically, but there have been a lot of missed opportunities. I think Marcus May has missed 3 sacks on his own. Jamal Adams didn't do that. Like if Jamal Adams, the quantity that they were using Marcus May was more than Jamal Adams ever really got. When that's saying a lot because we used Jamal Adams as a pass rusher quite a bit last year.
Yeah.
Jamal would have had like 8 sacks already this year. Like it has been that many opportunities for Marcus May to close, and he just hasn't been able to do it. Now, granted, Josh Allen's a big person, and maybe that isn't a great dude to hold a whole game plan over. But let's not sit here and act like Phillip Rivers is a small person. Like, yeah, he's not as mobile as Josh Allen, but he's big. I mean, he's country strong. I mean, he'll gosh darn it at you all day and, somehow complete a pass. If I were the Jets, I'd be using Bradley McDougall in that role, who is a much more physical specimen than Marcus May. And Marcus on the 2 touchdowns last week, it was great coverage. I mean, Jordan Reed just simply boxed him out. There's nothing more you can do there without getting a PI call. I don't blame Marcus May. It was a situation he was put in. And if I was Frank Reich, I would be using Mo Alley Cox for the exact same thing. And Jack Doyle, I don't think he's playing in this game, but if he does play, use 12 personnel. It is free yardage in the NFL nowadays. You are going to get a PI call. 4 verts with 12 personnel. It's hard to beat. You have pass catching running back. That is hard to beat. And I've been yelling at Adam Gase this entire year to use 12 personnel. They used it 6 snaps so far this entire season. The Jets are 0-2. They have had 12 snaps in their opponent's territory. They have scored 2 touchdowns the entire season offensively. They're piss poor. Nobody's listening to me. Adam Gase is not listening to me. And we're just going to keep trotting Chris Hogan and Braxton Berrios out there. And we'll take 10 yards. We will take 10 yards on a driving punt, and that's what Adam Gase is happy with. So,
yeah. All right, Kyle. Thanks again for coming on. That was a lot of good knowledge about the Jets.
Yeah.
You're definitely we can definitely tell that you're really passionate about what's going on with that organization.
I got pent up aggression, man. Adam Gase should have never been hired. Like the day he was hired,
I agree with you.
I couldn't believe it. I was a big Matt Rule guy, and I like the things he's doing in Carolina right now. He hasn't been flawless like most head coaches, but he's got them competitive, and that's way more than I can say for Adam Gase right now with a much better quarterback.
Yeah. All right, Kyle. Well, good luck with today.
Hey,
And
you guys too.
We'll
I hope.
definitely hit you up on Twitter.
Listen, man, run it up, run the score up, please, 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 please.
You gotta cover that spread.
I
So.
want Adam Gase in the unemployment line by Monday. Like I need him out of here.
35 points, is that enough? Like the win by 35?
Yeah, that will do it.
Yeah, I hope we do. I mean, that would be a wonderful
Just
game to watch.
Just don't hurt Sam Darnold and we'll be fine.
Okay, that's fair. Don't hurt any of our players. Don't tear any more of their Achilles, please. Like, let's just leave that on the field.
That's the turf on that life. That's another whole problem.
Oh no, I just thought about Jacob. Everybody's gonna die today. Okay, Kyle. Again, thanks again for coming on, and we'll talk to you later.
Okay. See you guys.
See ya.
All right. So we do have some answers for our trivia question. Let's just go through some here. We mentioned the Manning one that was incorrect for the most of all time. We still haven't had anybody guess how many people are above Philip Rivers right now. But
I'll throw out a guess because I don't know the answer to this. I'm gonna say.
I was gonna say let's get through some of these.
Okay, all right.
I will say somebody did get the answer, but
okay.
I'll let you pick first.
Okay.
So he was talking. Kyle was talking about Brett Favre. Yes, he is up there, but he's not number one. Let's see. Brady is up there. Manning, Marino. Yes, all three of them are above. However, none of them are number one. Jacob, go ahead. Now that I've given you 4 of the 5, can you guess who's number one?
Oh, see, I
just gave away the answer. So,
I honestly don't know. I'm trying to think. Okay. I want to say Drew Brees, but I don't think that's right.
So somebody also said I think the most is Drew Brees. Scuba Tuck 94. Thanks for commenting a lot today. You're all over here. I mean, you disagreed with what Kyle said about Reich, but
I did too.
This is the game winner.
Even if we lose to the Jets today, heaven forbid, I don't think it's entirely Frank Reich's fault. I'll leave it at that. But
so Philip Rivers currently is 6th in the NFL with 399 passing touchdowns. Number 5 is Dan Marino, who is a Hall of Famer, with 420. Brett Favre is at number 4 with 508. Peyton Manning's at 3rd with 539. And last season he started the season as number 1.
Yep.
And then we had the battle between Tom Brady and Drew Brees. Tom Brady has 544 and Drew Brees has 550.
Okay.
Now we all know this is potentially Drew Brees' last season. This is his final ride.
Honestly, potentially Tom Brady's last season.
Maybe Tom Brady's last season.
This will be the season to decide who's number one.
Who's number one? Yep. Who knows? Maybe if Drew Brees finishes on top, Tom Brady plays one more year just to throw a couple touchdowns.
I think it's honestly
one record.
No, I think it's more of who makes it farther this year because I think that's gonna be the deciding factor. Which honestly, they both can only go so far amongst themselves. So
yeah.
Since they're literally in the same division, so
it is. I think it should be noted here that Drew Brees has played one less year than Tom Brady. And Tom Brady came out in 2000, and Drew Brees came out in 2001. We both know, with injuries. I mean, Tom Brady was out for a full year. He didn't start his rookie season. Drew Brees was out with shoulder injuries. Peyton Manning was in the league for 7 to 18 years. From 98 to 2015. So he had less games, but if you look at touchdowns per season, he's leading there. And then Brett Favre, we all know, played forever. So 19 years. Actually, wow, Brett Favre played for less time than Tom Brady did. That's okay. I'm not going to go too far into how long people played for because I'm seeing our viewership dropping here.
See, here's the thing. Brett Favre, you feel like he played longer because he played on multiple teams. Tom Brady's played on only 2. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So you think he played longer, where Tom Brady's literally been on the Patriots and then now Tampa Bay, and you're like, oh, he hasn't played that long. He's only been on people judge it on how many teams you've been on. So
yeah, that's true.
That makes sense.
Okay, so Jacob, let's talk about some keys of the game today.
Yeah.
Let's go over just keys for the Colts for a Colts win today. What last week I did this and it was pretty much run the ball, stop running the ball, like all of those. And I'm deleting everything on our notes. So go ahead and go over today's keys of the game.
Yeah, so for me, it starts with our defense. Focus on the defense. We were great against the Vikings, but I want to see a consistent effort from them and consistent production because no more trap games. Like, no more trap games. We don't want that. And I think it starts with our defense. If they can contain Sam Darnold and the limited offense thanks for shrinking me. You don't.
There we go.
That's if they can focus on Sam Darnold, like Kyle was saying, they're already weak. So if our defense can capitalize on that, have another great game, I think that's going to be the number one key to this game. For number two, run the ball. And honestly, guys, from here on out, run the ball is going to be one of my keys to every game because our offense hinges on that. And I think that's extremely evident within the first 2 weeks. So run the ball, but also get Jonathan Taylor, Jordan Wilkins, and Hines touches. Like, I want to see a mixture here. I want to see, Jonathan Taylor, if he busts out the gates and have a great game, great. Keep it rolling with him. But I also want to see Jordan Wilkins, Nyheim Hines get involved because Jordan Wilkins came in later and Nyheim Hines was pretty much irrelevant. So I want to see them get mixed up into the scheme a little bit more. And then lastly here, find the new guy. And what I mean by that is find guys who are going to fill injured positions. Malik Hooker went down. Matthew Adams is on IR. Rock Ya-Sin is still out. Paris Campbell went down. Jack Doyle, we don't know if he's going to play today. So we need to find the guys who are going to step up and fill those shoes because some of them are big shoes to fill. And I think we started to see that with Julian Blackmon in the secondary. I think he's going to be a key part of that. I'm still looking to see who is going to step up and take Paris Campbell role. Not that they can be the same, but who is going to kind of try to fill those shoes. And then I hope Bobby Okereke kind of steps up and plays a little bit more. I know Matthew Adams wasn't really starting, so it's not a huge loss, but I hope Bobby Okereke gets mixed in some more and can work with that linebacking core. And then, for corners as well. I mean, we know what we're getting out of Xavier Rhodes, TJ Carey, they're veterans, but I'd like to just see consistent effort from them. Because like I said, they're veterans. They should know how to play. They should know how to cover. They've been here long enough. I just want to see consistent coverage from them until Rock Ya-Sin can get back.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I don't even know what I would even consider a key to the Jets winning other than,
I think it's going to be hard to lose, but
it's going to be hard to lose. I mean, we're an 11.5 point favorite today.
Yeah.
So, which has gone up since yesterday.
I also don't want to walk into this and like we always say, don't play down to your competition. Like we can't do that this week. Like the Colts need to break that because I feel like that's like what every other team talks about us behind our backs is like, oh, they play down to competition. Like we don't want
the number one team to play down to every team.
Yeah. And we got to break that. We got to break that habit. And it starts in week 3.
Yeah. And hopefully it extends past that. Cause I've never felt more confident about going into a game, which is scaring me. I mean, it's terrifying to be this confident going into a game.
I mean, confidence is a big thing to have, and it can swing both ways. But I'm extremely confident in this team after seeing them in week 2. But that doesn't worry me. I don't think that worries me because I think we have leaders on both sides of the ball that want to win and can motivate guys to get it done. I think Darius Leonard's. He's hyped up and ready to go. I don't think he's one that plays down to competition. He comes out every day, gives 110%. And I think, with Phillip Rivers as the quarterback, I think he's going to be that veteran leader that we need on offense.
Yeah, you mentioned Darius Leonard and who was it? Was it DeForest Buckner or Phillip Rivers? I was like, is this guy always this insane?
I don't know. I don't know exactly
Rivers, but
I remember that.
There was definitely a new person on our team that was just like, is Darius always this way, like 24/7? And everybody was pretty much, yeah, that's Darius all the time. There's no question about that. Which that's really funny to me. So yeah, the Colts have to show up this game. That's right. There's no other question to it. They have to. I'm glad it's at home. It's not even at MetLife. I don't even know why we were scared for it being at MetLife.
It's not, and thank God, because that field's under investigation. I know they cleared it, but I'm watching whatever game's in MetLife today because I don't.
The Giants play there today.
Yeah.
The Giants 49ers.
That worries the heck out of me. So
yeah. So wait, is the Giants 40 that game is in MetLife again today?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh man. San Francisco has to go back-to-back weeks at MetLife.
Well, they didn't even leave because so I was reading into this. The plane broke down that was supposed to so their injury thing started out with the plane broke down that was supposed to take them to New York. So they had to drive another hour, get on a different plane, all this before the game even started, just to get out to New York. Then they have all the injuries in the game, and then they brought an MRI truck with them so they could check players out. Well, then the MRI truck broke. So they ended up having to stay at a different location around New York than what they planned on, because they were supposed to have like a nice venue, a nice practice facility, all this. And then something there fell through. So then they had to find a different MRI truck, a different practice venue, different hotel. So like the 49ers have had a run of it this week. And now they go up against the Giants in the same stadium where they had players like tearing ACL.
They just lost their entire team. Yeah.
So I'm extremely worried about that. That's a game I'm watching.
So once again, we are bringing Jay Stevens back. This is now becoming a weekly thing, and I really enjoy it because this is where we get our bold predictions and our final scores. So Jay Stevens, again, coming on the show. Let me get him in here, and boom. Jay, how are you doing?
I'm good, guys. How are you?
Good. Glad to have you back on again today. How are you feeling about this game today?
I'm feeling confident. My hesitation when I say that is because I know how the Colts normally play when they play lesser opponents.
Yep.
So my fear is we don't get what we saw last week.
Mm-hmm.
We get more what we saw during week one, and the Jets may get their first win of the season. That's just my hesitation.
Yeah.
I know what we can play, but I am just hoping we don't see history repeat itself where the Colts play down and embarrass themselves. Rivers INTs, I'm trying to learn to live with them, but it's everything else that goes with it that has me a little hesitant about this game.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. That's just our history at the late game at 4:05, like not even Sunday Night Football, not Monday Night Football, not the 1 o'clock, the 4 o'clock games. We're traditionally not great at these. I mean, go back to last year, look at Oakland. Like, we lost in Oakland. Like, how do you lose? No. So just, I'm not super thrilled about it, but I don't know. I guess I feel really weird about this game, and I hope I'm completely wrong and the Colts just come out and dominate. And we're like feeling like that we did last week after the win against the Vikings. So Jay, let's just dive right into this. Let's talk about bold predictions today. Jacob, let's start with you on your Jets and Colts bold predictions.
Yeah, so for the Jets, and this is more pointed to the Colts, but I think, they have no wide receivers, honestly. Like we just heard Kyle talk about that. So they're going to try to run the ball. So I think, you got to keep Frank Gore under 50 rushing yards if you're the Colts defense, because he had 6 yards against the 49ers, and we know what he can do. I mean, he was in our system. So I think they got to keep him below 50 yards to win the game. But I think that's going to be what the Jets are going to try to do. I think they're going to try to run the ball a lot with Frank Gore, LaMichael Pirine, because I mean, they didn't have a whole lot of receivers in week 2, and they have less now. So I don't know what their passing game is going to look like. And then more on the Colts' perspective, offensively, I'll say Jonathan Taylor is going to have 100 yards again. I mean, I want to see him keep this aggression, and I just want to see him try to hit 100 yards each game going forward. I think that would be really cool for his rookie season. And then defensively, I want to see 5 sacks and 3 turnovers. Like I said, with the lack of wide receivers, I mean, and if we can cover extended, I mean, our defensive line has just got to break through. We saw that they have injuries on their offensive line, especially with their center and tackle position. So I think that our defensive line needs to have a heck of a game. And then our corners and secondary need to show that despite the missing pieces, we can still cover. And I think, like Kyle mentioned, today's a bounce back game. Like we didn't need a bounce back game, but today's the game that our secondary gets an easy matchup and gets to further develop with the missing pieces that are out.
Yeah, for sure. While I'm pulling something up, Jay, what are your bold predictions?
Okay, so the first one I have is for both teams. No, I'll scratch. I was going to go something with injuries because I know the Jets had both had crazy injuries, and I really think that I really do believe that playing inside and playing here where the climate is controlled, you don't have to worry about the heat or being too cold, and the field is nice. It's immaculate. It should be fine. I truly believe, I'm going to go out on a limb and say this, that the Jets have no injuries today, none whatsoever. I don't know. I can't say much about the Colts because I know the Colts history, and I don't know what goes on in our training room to where it seems like everybody gets hurt every single year. And this has been going on for like 5 to 6 years where it seems like all the time somebody's getting hurt. I'm not sure about that, but I do also believe that with the defensive line, primarily those guys that are lined up across from or in the outside shade of Mekhi Becton, I think this week is his welcome to the NFL moment. He's had 2 good games already, but I do believe that with the momentum that we saw last week and the defense playing this way, I do kind of believe that Mekhi Becton kind of, when I say welcome to the NFL, it's kind of like he gets embarrassed all game, just throwing different people at him, different pass rush techniques or bull rush or swim moves, whatever you want it to be. I do believe that he kind of has his welcome to the NFL moment. He might be on a few highlights at the end of the game.
Very interesting that you mentioned the Colts' weird locker room with injuries and everything. At least Phillip Rivers doesn't have a punctured lung. Just going to throw that out there.
That is true.
At least he doesn't have a punctured lung that we know of yet.
Touche.
Okay, so last week I was spot on my bold predictions. I had to bring this back. I said the Vikings won't reach 100 rushing yards. Indy will have more than 150. Indy had 151, and the Vikings had 61. So I was right. So I wanted to throw that out there before I made my bold predictions today. I think the Jets are going to cover their 11.5 point spread. I think the game's going to be closer than we hope it is. So that's my bold prediction for the Jets, that they score enough points to cover that spread. And then I took I'm still right. I had to look at I saw my final score down there. I was like, wait a minute. Okay.
That's exactly where I looked. I was like, we're going to see if he actually believes that now.
So, and then for the Colts, I said Rivers is going to throw 250 yards and find 7 different receivers today. We noted earlier today that Phillip Rivers has found 7 receivers 7 different times this season so far in the first 2 weeks. I think he finds 7 today between Taylor, Hines, Wilkins. I don't think Wilkins will catch a ball, but between those two, then T.Y. will come back out. Pittman, Paschall, Patman,
Mo Alley Cox,
all of them. I think they're all going to be a factor today, and we're just going to be able to spread the ball out a lot. So 7 receivers, 250 plus yards. It'll be a lot. It's a bold prediction. That's all I can say. It can't be bold if it's not bold. So,
well, here, I'll add something too. A guy I want to see get involved is Noah Tongia. This has nothing to do with a bold prediction, but I hope he's one of those 7 receivers because, they brought him in and I was like, oh, this guy looks good. Watch some of his college tape, and then he just hasn't been used. So I hope we get to see a little bit more of Noah Tongia today.
Yeah. One thing I have to say here, Chance, Quincy Wilson is out today.
Concussion.
We're very upset that we don't get to see Quincy Wilson versus T.Y. Hilton, or Pittman or whoever. But we do get to see
Pierre Desir,
Farley out there. And wait, who'd you say?
Pierre Desir.
Oh, Pierre Desir. Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Pierre versus T.Y. So that'll be a good matchup to see really who's the number one. I mean, those two go back they were going back and forth at practices when he was on the Colts. So let's go ahead and dive right into the next topic here. Final game picks for today. So Colts versus Jets. I said it. I think the Jets are going to cover their spread at 11.5 points. I took the Colts 34-24 today with a Colts win. Jacob, who do you got?
So I have the Colts 30-10. I just don't think the Jets are going to score that often. And I said this against the Vikings, and they got a garbage time touchdown that didn't really matter. But I just don't think the Jets I don't think they have the drive to get it done. And I'd love to see the Colts finish off drives. I want to see more touchdowns, less field goals. Not that I don't, love Hot Rod, and I'm glad that he's hitting 100%, but I just want to see more touchdowns instead of field goals. You can get your 100% on extra points because as we've seen, those are crucial. So
yeah, for sure. And then Jay, what do you got?
I got the Jets. Even though I was hesitant at the beginning of me coming on, I do truly believe the Colts are going to. No, excuse me, Colts. Did I say Jets?
Yeah, you did.
I was like, whoa.
Sorry, no, I'm losing my mind. I didn't get much sleep last night.
I was like, man, he's dropping something. We're gonna learn today. Like,
well, see, the thing is, I didn't know what Jay was gonna pick, so I made one for both just in case. I was like, oh, I actually have to use the Jets one, but
no. I got the Colts 27-13. I think the Jets will score probably a Frank Gore rushing touchdown. Sure. I don't think Sam Darnold will have enough weapons on the outside. Now, if he had weapons on the outside, I do think he would have a passing touchdown. Truly believe that, because not scoring in the NFL, like if you're an NFL player, it takes a lot to score, but it takes a lot to stop somebody else from scoring. So it's very, very back and forth. With 27-13 all week long, I've been thinking it's going to be a 10 to 14 point win for the Colts. And they literally have to get me to believe in them more than what I already do. They got to show up and just stop the Jets early. And kind of what we saw in the second series of the Vikings, where the first series of the Vikings offensive drive, right down the field, Dalvin Cook got 25 rushing yards. I think he had 50 rushing yards the previous game. And then in drive number 2 on offensively for the Vikings, the Colts defense started to realize, wait, if we get off the field and we're not on the field for 7, 8, 9, 10 plays consistently, we can rest up, get the offense on the field, get the offense on to wear down the Vikings defense, and then we can win the game. Yeah. So I think we'll see more of that, but I truly don't believe the Colts keep Frank Gore out of the end zone today. But a 14-point win for the Colts is my prediction, and it's the Colts, Justin, Jacob, not the Jets to win the game. I apologize for that earlier. Not sure what I was thinking.
That's fair. I do want to know for all of our listeners that currently the three of us are 0-2 on our game picks each week. Week 1, we all picked the Colts to beat the Jaguars. Week 2, we all picked the Vikings to beat the Colts. So let's hope for 1 and 2, guys. Like let's get on a streak here and start winning some games. And start winning some picks, because boy, if we go 0-3, man, that's rough.
It's embarrassing, man.
It's embarrassing. I'm gonna start.
It's not like we have the scores wrong. We literally just have the wrong teams, because I don't think we've been anywhere close. We might have been close on the scores, but like,
I don't think we've actually recorded. Did we record the scores last week? I don't even remember. Okay, yeah. I had a really close game, 34-30 though, so my score was way off too. So no, we've just been wrong.
Yep.
each week, so.
This is the get right week.
Pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, this is the get it right week. Let's go ahead and start off strong. So Jay, do you have any final comments about the Colts game today?
One last thing I would love to say is that the defense, I said it earlier, but I want to say it again, because for so long the defense has been something that's been suspect. Even going back to last year, where it seems like coverages and leaving guys literally wide open. We saw shades from that in the Jaguars game, where Gardner Minshew was Minshew mania. I don't know how you explain his performance in that game, and then seeing what we saw Thursday against the Dolphins. I'm like, how come we couldn't get that guy week 1, right? So that we can at least get one of our picks right. But I think this is a big game for the defense to really just show that we are not going to play down to people. We're going to make them play up to us. And by doing that and having that mindset, they can not just show the division, but other people in the AFC and in the NFL, when you play Indianapolis, hopefully this is not just like a home field thing. Hopefully they take this on the road. But when you play the Colts, you better bring your A game on the offensive side. I think the Colts offense will start to figure things out soon, very, very soon. But you got to bring your A game, because if you don't, the Colts defense will destroy you.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to add to that too. I hope that we can win today big and get some national attention here, because as I'm scrolling through ESPN this morning, the headline for this game was, "Can the Jets bounce back against the Colts?" And it's not even like, and they didn't even talk, like, even on the on the network, they weren't even talking about the Vikings Colts game. They're like, "Oh, I didn't know that game was on." Like, come on, guys! Like, the Colts need to win today so people can start recognizing them for the team that they are, and start getting the narrative talking about them and not about teams that are 0-2.
Yeah.
Like that just makes no sense to me.
I 100% agree there. This is definitely going to be a game. They just have to get back on a good footing. I mean, there's nothing more to say other than they have to show up this game. I mean, like if they don't show up, then there's going to be a lot of people in hot water today. Like after the game, if they don't come. So, oh God, this is a game where like I feel like there's going to be a lot of frustration.
So
I just feel it.
I want to ask you a question. Are you more nervous about this Colts game or on your wedding day? Because you look like you're like sweating over there.
Yeah,
about this
big
Colts
time.
game.
Dude, I was not nervous at all on my wedding day. I hate to say it. Like it was so low key.
Don't lie.
It was so low key.
Everybody is.
I'm not even lying. Like that day was so low key, and my wife Jackie would agree with you. Like we saw each other all throughout the day. We all got ready together. I mean, I'm a natural like event planner. Like that's not my job, but that's just like what I do at heart. So I my wife will tell you all the time. I plan most of our wedding, especially the last 6 months. But yeah, no, the only time I was ever nervous is once I hit that stage and like all of a sudden my hands got clammy, but that was it. And then afterwards we had a party, so it didn't even matter.
So this Colts game has you more nervous?
I mean, yeah. I would say.
Oh man, now you're making me nervous. Like I was like riding high this morning, and now after this, I don't even know where I stand.
I mean, I hope I'm wrong. Like I really do.
It could have been me. It could have been me. I came in a little hesitant at the beginning, talking about what I think doesn't happen.
The Jets are going to win the game.
Sorry, Jacob. I'll take the blame.
It's okay. I have like 3 hours to cope with this, so I think I'll be able to move past it. But I appreciate it.
You gotta get hyped back up for it after.
I've had my healthy
dose down.
Yeah, I've had my healthy dose of paranoia this morning, so I think we're good to go from here on out.
That's fair. Sorry guys, I'm trying to stall for some time here. I really messed up this week and left my graphics on the wrong computer, and I don't have access to it, so I'm trying to create one on the fly here.
and viewers are just
viewers are just completely dropping right off. Okay, so boom, done. Let's go full screen on that. Come on. No, go. Jesus Christ. Guys,
if you can't tell, this is like week 3 of our experiment with the live show. So
and this is the final week of Justin trying to run anything. I'm not a producer, guys. I work in IT and apparently suck at it. So there we go. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead. Jay, thanks again for coming on. We'll definitely again see you next week and hopefully be talking about another Colts win and moving on into the Bears, who might be 3-0. We don't know yet. Ooh. So
who would have thought that before week 1?
Dude.
They would be possibly 3-0 after 3 games.
Dude, no. Okay.
That's a whole other show.
We'll talk to you later. Hopefully we're 2-1 and all of us are 1-2 in our picks. So
hope so.
Catch you later. All right, Jacob. I finally got it.
Okay.
This is not my quality work here, so please forgive me. But here we go. Colts versus Jets today at 4:05 p.m. At Lucas Oil Stadium. So be on the lookout, guys. This is a big game for us. I mean, this is it. I mean, there's nothing else to say to it other than we've got to come out and win this game. So I think people can hear me, but
yeah. And I would also add, we have big competition coming up after this week. Like we mentioned, the Bears, Browns, Bengals, Lions, not so much, but then the Ravens in week 9. So we need to step it up and start, building up to good football, because I mean, the second half of our schedule, Titans, Packers, Titans, Texans, Raiders, Texans, Steelers, Jaguars again. So we got to step it up and play consistent football from here on out.
Yeah, for sure. All right, from Justin and Jacob and I, from Colts Brawl and the Brawl Network, have a great week, guys, and go Colts.